Hi, my name is Olivia Kaufmann, and I will be reading The Golden Goose by Brothers Grimm. There was a man who had 3 sons, the youngest of whom was called and was despised, mocked, and sneered at every occasion. It happened that the eldest wanted to go into the forest to hew wood, and before he went, his mother gave him a beautiful sweet cake and a bottle of wine in order that he might not suffer from hunger or thirst. When he entered the forest, he met a little gray-haired old man who bade him good day and said, "Do give me a piece of cake out of your pocket, and let me have a draught of your wine. I am so hungry and thirsty." But the clever son answered, "If I give you my cake and wine, I shall not have any for myself. Be off with you." And he left the little man standing and went on. But when he began to hew down a tree, it was not long before he made a false stroke, and the axe cut him in the arm, so that he had to go home and have it bound up. And this was the little gray man's doing. After the second son went into the forest, and his mother gave him, like the eldest, a cake and a bottle of wine. The little old gray man met him likewise, and asked him for a piece of the cake and a drink of the wine. But the second son, too, said, sensibly enough, "What I give you I will not have taken away from myself. Be off." And he left the little man standing and went on. His punishment, however, was not delayed. When he had made a few blows at the tree, he struck himself in the leg, so bad that he had to be carried home. When Dumpling said, "Father, do let me go out and cut wood," his father answered, "Your brothers have hurt themselves with it. Leave it alone. You do not understand anything about it." But Dumpling begged, and so long that at last he said, "Just go then. You'll have wiser by hurting yourself." His mother gave him a cake made with water and baked in the cinders, and with it a bottle of sour beer. When he came to the forest, the little old gray man met him likewise, and greeting him said, "Give me a piece of your cake and a drink of your bottle. I am so hungry and thirsty." Dumpling answered, "I have only cinder cake and sour beer, but if that pleases you, we will sit down and eat." So they sat down, and when Dumpling pulled out his cinder cake, it was a fine, sweet cake, and the sour beer had become good wine. So they ate and drank, and after that the little man said, "Since you have a good heart and are willing to divide what you have, I will give you good luck. There stands an old tree. Cut it down and you will find something at the roots." Then the little man took leave of him. Dumpling went to cut down the tree, and when it fell, there was a goose sitting at the roots of with feathers of pure gold. He lifted her up, and taking her with him, went to an inn where he thought he would stay the night. Now the host had 3 daughters, who saw the goose and were curious to know what such a wonderful bird might be, and would have liked to have one of its golden feathers. The eldest thought, "I shall soon find the opportunity of pulling out a feather," and as soon as Dumpling had gone, she seized the goose by the wing, but her finger and hand remained stuck fast to it. The second came soon afterwards, thinking only to how she might get a feather for herself, but she had scarcely touched her sister when she was held fast. At last the third also came with the like intent, and the others screamed out, "Keep away! For goodness, keep away! Keep away!" But she did not understand why she was to keep away. The others were there, she thought. I may as well be there too. And she ran to them. But as soon as she touched her sister, she remained sticking fast to her. So they had to spend the night with the goose. The next morning, Dumpling took the goose under his arm and set out, without troubling himself about the 3 girls who were hanging on to it. They were obliged to run after him continually, now left, now right, wherever his legs took him. In the middle of the fields, the parson met them, and when he saw the procession, he said, "For shame, you good-for-nothing girls! Why are you running across the fields after this young man? Is it seemly?" At the same time, he seized the youngest by the hand and ordered her to pull away, but as soon as he touched her, likewise struck fast, and he himself obliged to run behind. Before long, the sexton came by and saw his master, the parson, running behind 3 girls. He was astonished at what he called out. "Hi, your reverence. Whither away so quickly? Do not forget that you have a christening today." And running after him, he took him by the sleeve, but was also held to it fast. While the five were trotting thus on behind one another, two laborers came up with their hoes from the field. The parson called out to them and begged them they would set them free and the Saxton free. But they had scarcely touched the Saxton when they were held fast, and now there were 7 of them running behind Dummling and the Goose. Soon afterwards he came to a city where a king ruled, who had a daughter who was so serious that no one could make her laugh. So he put forth a decree that whoever should be able to make her laugh should marry her. When Dummling heard this, he went to the Goose He went with his goose and all of his train before the king's daughter, and as soon as she saw the people running on behind one another, she began to laugh quite loudly, and as if it would never stop. Thereupon Dummling asked to have her for his wife, but the king did not like the son-in-law, and made all the manner of excuses, and said he must first produce a man who could drink a cellar full of wine. Dummling thought of the little gray man, who could certainly help him. So he went into the forest, and in the same place where he had felled the tree, he saw the man sitting, who had a very sorrowful face. Dummling asked him what he was taking to heart so sorely, and he answered, "I have such a quench for thirst, and cannot quench it. Cold water I cannot stand. A barrel of wine I have just emptied, but that is just like a drop on a hot stone." "There, I can help you," said Dumpling. "Just come with me and you shall be satisfied." He led him to the king's cellar, and the man bent over the huge barrels and drank till his loins hurt. And before the day was out, he had emptied all of the barrels. Then Dummling asked once more for his bride. The king was very vexed, and such an ugly fellow, whom everyone called Dummling, should take away his daughter, and he made a new condition. We must first find a man who could eat a whole mountain of bread. Dummling did not think long, but went straight into the forest, where the same place there the man was tying up his body with a strap, and making an awful face, and saying, "I have eaten a whole ovenful of rolls, but that is not good But what good is it when one has such a hunger as I? My stomach remains empty, and I must tie myself up if I am not to die of hunger." At this Dummling was glad. "Get up and come with me. You shall eat yourself full." He led him to the king's place, where all of the flour in the whole kingdom was collected, and from it caused a huge mountain of bread to be baked. The man from the forest stood before it, began to eat, and by the end of the day, the whole mountain had vanished. Then Dummling for the 3rd time asked for his bride, but the king again sought a way out, and ordered the ship which could sail on land and water. "As soon as you come sailing back in it," he said, "you shall have my daughter for wife." Dummling went straight to the forest, and there sat the little gray man, to whom he had given his cake. When he heard that Dummling wanted, he said, "Since you have given me to eat and to drink, I will give you the ship, and I do all this because you were kind to me." Then he gave him the ship, which could sail on land and water, and when the king saw it, he could no longer prevent him from marrying his daughter. The wedding was celebrated, and after the king's death, Dummling inherited the kingdom and lived for a long time contentedly with his wife. The end. Thank you.